I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. Thank you out there for watching. We're going to be talking about decalcifying the pineal gland and see through the veil and awaken it. I'd like to start right here with the third eye, the mind's eye. Most of us have heard about it. Our pineal gland is what science is calling it today. It's our spiritual center and the chakra points, the intuition. Rene Descartes called the pineal gland the seat of the soul, and I believe that's pretty accurate. A book called DMT, the Spirit Molecule, Rick Strassman found out actually too that the pineal gland and your gender is formed in the 49th day of gestation. That's pretty fascinating because they also believe, Tibetan monks believe, it took 49 days for the soul to reincarnate. It's a very powerful coincidence. I think it's not just a coincidence, but something that they understood at a level that we're just now starting to understand ourselves scientifically. So your pineal gland resides right in the center of your brain, and it actually does glow. Scientists find out this gland actually glows when it's being used, and when it's being used is at night when the lights go out and you start to have dreams. It actually secretes a substance called dimethyltryptamine, and that substance is actually taking you to the astral world to dreams where you meet your I've actually met my grandparents after they passed on. Pretty incredible way. They were young again. They were 20 years old, and the things that they had took on, racism, stereotypes, they didn't have it anymore. It was completely gone. They were completely beautiful, and it left me having an experience like, oh my God, because I used to believe that I would never see my grandparents again until I died. But I was, when you have an experience like that, you realize, that belief is not true. So that's what we're talking about today, the pineal gland. It is in the exact center of the brain. It looks like a tiny pine cone, and that's why they call it the pineal gland. And so it is calcified. It's calcified because of the fluoride in our water. Fluoride destroys this gland, and you can see how, the white up here is the fluoridification in it. And it's keeping us from accessing all of it is. So you have a very small amount of DMT going on in your body at all times. And so that means the less DMT and the less open your third eye is, the less awesome, the less beautiful life is going to be, the less colorful. The more it goes out, the more bland, the more depression, the more anxiety is going to follow. So, be careful with the water that you consume. Because it does decalcify, and poor diets like sugar, refined sugar and things like that. So it's actually keeping us inside as prisoners in our own minds, the pineal gland not being active. We don't even realize this. We say we live in the freest country in the world, but what is freedom really? What is freedom? Is it something that a government can give to us? Or is it something that only that we can give to ourselves? Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. People don't even know today that you're a slave. You're a slave to society. You're a slave to culture. Culture, it's not your friend. It's there for a reason. It has an agenda. And people don't realize, even today, how much of a prisoner we are in our own minds. The only difference between us and the sheep is that we think we're free. The sheep probably don't know, nor do they care. But we go in our cars every day and line up just as they do to go to our jobs, to work as hard as we can to save up, for our retirement. But we're not free. Bob Marley said, "A man yourselves for mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds." I believe that's true. Only you can free your own mind. People think all the time that someone else is going to give you freedoms, or the government's going to give you freedom, but we're not really free. You think you're free to choose the clothes that you wear, or the places that you go, the people you hang out with, but those are all even that really is altered because of media and television and who you think is cool, because the clothes they wear, the things that they do, all of that stuff is based on television and media and culture. So once you realize that you have this powerful gland and you can awaken it, it's hard to go back to sheep. It's hard to go back to this lifestyle of, I'm going to follow everyone. That's our mentality. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on this. When nobody's trying to lead, everybody wants to be a follower. So some of the things that are going to help us to awaken or decalcify this pineal gland: drink plenty of water. And I say good water, not fluoridated water that's in your sinks. Make sure you're getting spring water or some kind of reverse osmosis water. Another thing is to eat organic fruits and vegetables, especially organic. And people have asked me, well, how do I know that they're going to be organic? Like, well, you don't really, honestly. The best thing to do is grow it yourself. If you can't do that, go to the store and get the USDA organic fruits and vegetables. I also have started recently juicing, and it's probably been one of the best things I've ever done, just to be able to get that amount of vitamins and stuff into my body every single day. It has really changed me, and I think that those things allow, a plant in general is more intelligent than an animal. And you're saying, how is a plant more intelligent? A plant is more intelligent. It doesn't have a heart, nor does it have a brain, but it lives and it breathes, and they have offspring and they grow. It is a living, breathing thing. Trees breathe. So these things are actually, plants are actually more intelligent than animals. And when you eat an animal, it's dead. When you eat an apple, it's alive. That's a big difference, you don't realize how big a difference that is, but it is a big difference. You're also taking in the energy of an animal. When you have an animal that's bred in captivity to be eaten, for instance, an animal that lays around in its own feces all day long and is boarded up and doesn't have very high quality life, you've probably heard the expression, happy cows make happy milk. Well, happy animals in general are going to make better things to eat. Native Americans who hunted for their own food and caught wild things, as opposed to something that's farm raised, is just going to be much more higher quality of energy than something that just has a poor quality of life. That actually you are what you eat, and the more plants you eat, the smarter and more intelligent you are. Like I said again, certified organic is the best way to go. Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. And of course today, medicine is not our food. Medicine is built, made in pharmaceutical companies and drugs that people have to go get from the doctors, and they think that's safe, but it's not really safe. Just because a doctor prescribes you some kind of food doesn't necessarily mean that that's something that you should be taking and putting in your body. The best pharmacy would be one that serves tomatoes and cucumbers. And I believe that's absolutely true. So this is our idea of medicine today, and you see all the people coming out and they're cracked out and they're overweight and they got their prescription and they're going to go vegetate on the couch now, and they're going to be in this this state of just laziness, But really, health is eating the right foods and building up your immune system. Your body is a perfect machine. It keeps you from getting sick. If you were to cut your arm right now, in 2 or 3 days, it would heal itself. Your body heals itself. Your body keeps it from getting disease. But you allow it because you eat bad things, or you don't take care of yourself, or you smoke, or you drink, or you put the wrong things in your body, and you bring your immune system down, and you leave yourself open to get diseases. But there's no reason that we should ever be sick. And I'll tell you this, our bodies are built and made to live for hundreds of years, if not millennia. And you've heard, all of us have heard about Methuselah and Adam and Eve and people who used to live a long time in the past. And I believe that we can still reach that today, but we don't get adequate amounts of proper diet and oxygen and other things that we need. Like I said, oxygen, keep calm, breathe deeply. This is for sure something that's very overlooked. Probably the biggest thing to help you awaken is to breathe deep. People don't realize that there's pollution in the air. And they say, oh, there's pollution. What does it have an effect on me? What does it literally do to me? What is not an adequate amount of oxygen every day that I get literally doing to me? How is it really changing my life? It's not allowing you to access your full potential, your full brain. As you take deep breaths and those yoga breaths where you're completely breathing all the air out and breathing all the air in, you're actually allowing your frontal lobes, the other 90% of your brain that makes you a human, that is where all of this incredible information and understanding is found. Positive brain rewards are because you're positive. But when you live in fear and anxiety, me, you're turning all that off. And being afraid, a negative reinforcement is not allowing you to think. So, for instance, if you do something or you say something, you react to someone and you say something stupid, and then maybe an hour, maybe a couple days later, you realize, oh my God, I can't believe I said that to that guy. That was pretty dumb. That's because now, at some point, your frontal lobes will kick back on and thought it through and said, man, that was a pretty dumb thing to say. what were you doing? You know, you were just reacting. You weren't really thinking. And a lot of times we are just reacting to situations, events, what people said to us, instead of taking a deep breath and say, is it really worth getting angry about? Is it really worth getting mad about? Is it really worth reacting about? No, it's not. So this adequate amount of oxygen is vital to really reaching our full potential. And meditation. So meditation is that. It's that going within. It's that sitting down and relaxing and just becoming all that is and being silenced, you know. But that really is helpful every day. I would suggest everyone do it from 30 minutes to an hour a day. If you don't have time to do it 30 minutes a day, you should do it an hour a day. That's the whole reason you don't have any time. Everything is so sped up, everything is so fast. But life isn't, you're just supposed to be. You're a human being, not a human doing. But we're all got to do this, and I got to take this person over here, and I got to, no, you just have to be. You just have to be happy and in love with life again. And realize that there's so much going on in this moment right now just to be thankful for. That everybody else is just so entrapped with, you know, all this other ideas of what life's supposed to be like. And probably one of the greatest things for me as far as the breathing thing and just helping awaken the mind and the body and the soul is yoga. If you haven't experienced yoga, if you haven't tried yoga, I highly recommend it. It's one of those things that's just, when you do these positions, it's more than just, people think it's just exercise. It's way more than exercise. You're actually opening up your heart, chakras when you're doing this, and other parts of your chakra system when you're doing this. I've had many times where I was doing yoga and I would get done and I would be driving home and I would just start crying. Literally, I would just start crying because my heart was so open and I was just so much love and so much compassion and so much understanding was there, and I just was just like, wow, this is amazing. When the second or third time I did yoga, I was in this position they call the child's pose when you're lying down. And I was instantly taken back to when I was a child in the living room. And I was doing that pose, and my mom walked in and goes, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, this feels good. But I was instantly taken back to that moment, and I realized, oh my God, I was doing yoga. I knew it, but I didn't know it. I knew something, I knew what I was doing, felt good, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I just knew my mom thought I looked weird in the living room making this pose. But I realized now that that's what it was. I was doing yoga as a child. I was actually remembering something that I had done probably in a previous life. So this yes, it does. It awakens the mind and the body and the soul. And one of the coolest things in the story about yoga is my teacher told me the other day. She had done yoga for 7 years. And after 7 years of doing yoga, she said this thing moved up to her heart, and it was coming out and moved to the surface. And she said it was basically when she was 15 years old, and she's 40 or something now. She said when she was 15, she got her heart broke by a boyfriend, and she had never truly let that go, and she just buried it deep inside and never thought about it. And then 7 years after doing yoga, it moved its way to the surface, and then all of a sudden, she could let it go and she could experience so many feelings we just put inside ourselves, and we don't ever deal with it. We just bury it up with drinking or drugs or just doing stuff. Have you ever noticed people just can't sit still? They have to go do something because they can't sit in the stillness. They can't sit in the experience of oneness because they can't be still, because when they're still, they realize, I'm not a good person. I'm not the person I want to be. I have, done things to people that I don't want to feel. And when we go back to and we learn who we really are, we realize yoga and things like that are actually helping bringing those things to the surface. And it's actually helping us, it's making us a better person. So we're having an awakening, just as you've heard in the past, the Renaissance, the medieval ages. These are all times, epochs, and eras where people learned things, people understood things. Consciousness changed. It's changing on our planet now. Things are happening on our planet now that are changing us. And people will look back at our time of civilization and be like, that was a great time to change. And it's not a bad thing. Change is not bad. Change is definitely good. But we are amongst, again, in a time period where the masses are awakening again. And it's a good thing. So as we open this third eye, we're seeing into other dimensions. This is a picture by Alex Gray. It's actually, the third eye is actually allowing us to see, not with eyesight, but with insight. To see things in a different way. To not just see a square on a table, but see the whole box. To see the whole other dimensions of reality. If you think, there's so many religions and things that you can look at and say it all meant this. But really, when you really get down and you read the depthness of things and you see with insight, and you see with this open mind, you see how all religions are saying the same thing. Again, it's the same way. You start to see everything in other dimensions and not just a two-dimensional way. And again, like I said, I told you, the pineal gland starts to glow. And this glow, as you completely awaken, as you completely open this third eye, is when you have people become the Buddha, the Krishna, or the Buddha nature, the Krishna spirit, the Christ consciousness, all of these things. And you see people in every culture, in every continent around the world, there's some person who has a halo around their head, and they're considered to be a sage, a saint, some kind of spiritual mystic, whatever it is. But these people are followed, and they don't. And if you listen and you read their teaching, they don't want followers. They're trying to make us all better. They're trying to say, don't follow me, be like me. All of you have the exact same heart that I have. You have the exact brain that I have. You have the same heart as Martin Luther King or Jesus Christ. The same brain as Albert Einstein or Nikola Tesla. The only difference is we don't use ours. We don't use them to their full potential. We have a vast amount of full potential that we can use. So, again, Jesus, his heart, and I'll get back to the heart later. That to me is one of the greatest understandings we're going to talk about today. But for right now, we're talking about the halo and how this light comes from the center of the pineal gland, which causes the halo. Here's Krishna, and you can see the glow around his head, and he's a king. He's a spiritual leader, and again here you see the halo around his head, and then the third eye. And again, like I told you in the Bible, Jesus said, or not in the Bible quotes Jesus saying, "If your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light." This is a painting by Alex Gray, and the reason I love this painting so much is because it's not Krishna, it's not Jesus, it's not Buddha, it's everybody. It's every person. Every person has this inner sun in their body, and they're able to awaken it. It's your choice whether you want to or not. So this helps us see through the veil. This is seeing through the veil, turning this pineal gland on, and seeing the other dimensions of reality and what's really going on in our world today. So I'm trying to free your mind, but only you can walk through the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. So we're going through the veil today. And what's through the veil? After your pineal gland is awakened, I'm sure some of you already know. The apocalypse means literally a lifting of the veil or disclosure of knowledge, in an era dominated by falsehood and misconceptions, which we are no doubt in. So, the corrupt political and financial systems becoming more obvious to the masses? Check. An awakening of the limitless human potential in the minds of the people? Check. People coming together to effect real positive change? Check. Yet the apocalypse is happening, but it's not the doom and gloom thing that we were told to believe by the media. The apocalypse doesn't even have anything that states any of those crazy things that are going to happen. The apocalypse literally means a lifting of the veil, knowledge, disclosure. So you can see how someone could take, the apocalypse and make it completely something different than it really is. In fact, if I asked most people what apocalypse means, they would say nothing about knowledge nor the veil. But that's exactly what it means. So I want to take you back to a time in 1864 when Abraham Lincoln already knew about this corruption and tried to tell us about it. And of course, we know what happened to him. I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me and causes me to tremble for the safety of my country. Corporations have been enthroned, and an era of corruption in high places will follow. And the money power of the country will endeavor to prolong its reign by working upon the prejudices of the people until all the wealth is aggregated in a few hands and the republic is destroyed. Abraham Lincoln knew back then that the corporations were going to take over this country if we didn't do something about it. And you know what happened to him. And another person, John F. Kennedy, in Executive 11110, he was trying to eradicate the Federal Reserve banks, and so was Abraham Lincoln. Both men were killed. I think they were killed for this reason. They were trying to end our Federal Reserve system. We don't even realize how corrupt the Federal Reserve is. It's a banking cartel, and they're allowed to print money, and we're not. And they're allowed to take interest on money that's never existed. You go to the bank and you ask for a loan, and they say, here's $10,000, and you got to pay them 6% interest or whatever it is. You got to pay interest on money that's never existed, and they just get money for no reason. That's crazy. Henry Ford said it's a thing that people don't know how the banking system works, or a revolution will be before tomorrow morning. they don't want you to know how stuff works because they can keep doing whatever they want to as long as they can. But as we awaken and start to see through the veil, we realize, oh my gosh, we can do something about this. This is our country, this is our world. So their game is divide and conquer. As long as they can, we're merely pawns and they keep us busy. We fight each other instead of them. They keep us fighting for race, religion. They keep us fighting based on social status or economic status. As long as we're fighting each other, we're not fighting the people that need to be told what to do. And we're just allowing things to happen. And how do they do it? Television. Television is a great way to do mind control. It's a great way to manipulate people, to get you to think about, like I said before, culture, that gets you to think a certain way, to get you to wear certain clothes, to get you to hang out with certain people, to get you to not talk about certain norms, to say something is a conspiracy. That's just a great way to say that you don't want to talk about something that's important, You just want to cover it up and not talk about it. Like I told you with those emotions earlier. That's just too much, it's not safe. But this is exactly what television is, and large amounts of long-time television is going to completely change your views of what reality is. And as we see things on television, we think the world is really like that. We think the world is really a fearful, crazy place, and bad things are happening all the time. When there are beautiful things and great things happening all the time as well. But the few things that are scary and crazy are what are so blowed up and put on television to see. So television is mind control. Turn off your television and read a book. Reading a book obviously is going to just turn your brain on in such a way. Use your imagination. Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagination. You guys know who the Magi were? The Magi were the 3 wise men that went to go see Jesus. Miracle workers. Magicians comes from the word magi. People who could do incredible things. Not just 1 or 2 people in the past. Many, many people. Magi nation. We're all nation of magi in our own mind. In your own mind, you're your own magician. You can come with everything. Everything that you are, everything our world is from some thought. And then we have to realize our thinking is super important. So, just go ahead and make up our minds for us. Tell us what we need to know. How many people do you realize every day that come at you and just tell you all the things that are happening in the government? It sounds like you just watch CNN or Fox News, It does. You realize it. You're like, oh my gosh. You've been watching a lot of TV, haven't you? You can tell. They're all jacked up. And they're like crazy scared. Yeah, they're definitely not taking those yoga breaths either, They're completely afraid. So, mental enslavement, when you're under the impression that reality is one thing while it's another, and your mind is being influenced to work towards benefiting a group of people who have an agenda. We don't even realize our ideas. What about Christmas? What about Easter? What about the Tooth Fairy? My little brother, when I was a little kid, who was 2 years younger than me, told me that Santa Claus didn't exist. I was pretty upset about that. I cried. I literally cried when I found out Santa Claus wasn't real. And so I said, it's Mom and Dad? Yeah. The whole time? Yeah. The whole time? Yeah. Mom and Dad have been telling us for years that this dude flies around the world and puts presents if we're good under the tree. Then we all find out at some point Santa Claus isn't real, the Tooth Fairy's not real, the Easter Bunny's not real. And you're like, we never talked about it though. We never talked about it. We never sat down and said, hey, Tooth Fairy wasn't real, just playing a little joke, it's all fun and games, No, we didn't say that. Just went on with our day, You found Tooth Fairy wasn't real, and next time your tooth fell out, you didn't get any quarters. Or you know what I mean? Once you found, I was like, what is going on here? Why are we, besides that, how much of our holidays are inundated with candies and sugars and, Easter Bunny? Oh my gosh, it's filled with terrible sugar for your kids to destroy their pineal glands and destroy their spiritual nature. But why are we doing that? Why don't we talk about it? Why don't we, that's a big deal. I've talked to people about this before. It's a huge deal to lie to your children about something like this. And you think it's not because you're following culture. Culture says, tell them about Santa Claus. Tell them about the Easter Bunny. But no one ever says, tell your kids the truth. Be honest with them. Be the person that you want to see them to be. And as soon as your kids find out that you're lying to them and the world is lying to them, it's easy for you to lie. It's easy for you to gain this knowledge of suffering and to say, oh my God, everybody I was ever trusted lied to me. And we have to realize, we have to take that back, take our lives back and say, that's not how we want to play the game anymore. I mean, Christmas, in general, we take trees that have been growing for decades, and we cut them down, and we put them in our living rooms, and we decorate them, and after a week or two, we throw them out. We throw trees out. If you were to cut down all the trees, guess what will happen? We will die. We will die if we can put Christmas trees in our house to look good. It's a crazy idea. And it may be the first time you ever heard something like that. When you really think about it, it's true. It's literally true. Like, our ideas of what a holiday or what something should be is based on media. It's based on television. So I'll say it with me now. Get a job. Go to work. Get married. Have children. Follow fashion. Act normal. Normal. Walk on the pavement. Watch TV. Obey the law. Save for old age. And now repeat after me. I am free. But you're not free. We are not free. Freedom is not given to us by our governments. But as long as our media can point us in the other direction. Look over here. Worry about this. Did you see Peyton Manning throw all those footballs today? Oh my gosh. We have homeless people in our own backyards. We have children starving. And people with autistic kids who don't know what to do. Why are we spending trillions of dollars to, I mean, we talk about weapons of mass destruction. No one has more weapons of mass destruction than us. We talk about war. There's 2 atomic bombs that went off in the whole entire course of history. Both of them by American. Both of them were set up by America. You know, are we really the good guys? Are we? Because it seems to me whoever started the fight, whoever finished it is the same. You know? You fight, you get more fighting. And so when you turn around and say, I'm not going to fight anymore, there is no fight at all. But we are led to believe that the world is something that it's not because we allow it. It's not because they can't do it. We allow it. We allow them to let us look the other way while all this other stuff is going on. And so they're creating a sheep herd, and you know, Bible and many other books talk about the sheep and how, you know, it's so easy for them once they got all this media culture and fear induces so they can make us just afraid and to do anything. And so I love this picture right here. I'm telling you, the man and the dog are definitely working together. And then everybody here says, for God's sakes, Trevor, always with that conspiracy stuff. It's plain and obvious to most people when you start to take a step back from the herd and take a step back and look and say, oh my God, these people are obviously working together, the man and the dog, the banks and the politicians, they're obviously working together, you know. The government shuts down, but the politicians get paid, but the people working at the parks don't get paid. What? It doesn't even make any sense because we allow it again. So that picture goes completely along with this picture. We can easily forgive a child who's afraid of the dark, but the real tragedy is when men are afraid of the dark. When people are afraid to talk about issues that are really important, like conspiracies, like banking frauds and banking systems and things like that in governments, that's what's really the tragedy, is that people are afraid to talk about things that are important, that they just label something a conspiracy. That's not how we're going to change the world. And that's not how we're going to make it a better place. That's how we follow blindly as sheep into an even more downward spiral than we're already in. So we don't realize how much power that we all truly have. And when we stop looking at these politicians as they have more power than us, or that's my guy, or he has all the answers. No, we have the answers. We are the answers. We allow them to run amok and do something because we're putting all our attention on it. You ever notice how you go places and there are always some people who are dressed up real funny or acting real, I'm crazy, I'm weird, you know? And people are all looking at them. And we're like, why would somebody dress up like that? Why would somebody wear that? Why would somebody act like that? Well, because you're looking at them. And your attention, literally, your attention is energy. When I focus on you, when I think about your name, you're actually sending energy to that person. When you're looking at a TV, you're sending energy to a football game or to a politician, you're actually empowering that person. While you're not getting any power back. You know how you say great things to your wife or your husband or your mother, your father, your brother, your family. And then you have that circuit of they give energy back to you. So you ever have those people in your life where you, like energy vampires, you send them all this energy and great, you know, energy and love and time, and they never give anything back, and it's just an empty feeling of, oh my God, that person never ever does anything for me, they never help me out, and it's a very empty feeling. But as soon as you turn the other direction and look at something else, this doesn't really matter anymore. Have you ever noticed when you're involved in certain things, like a summer camp or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's over, the people you used to hang out with, and so much time isn't, with them, and then all of a sudden you go back home and you're doing your thing and you don't ever see these people again? It's almost, in that sense, it's the same way. When we stop focusing, when we're stopping around, when we're stop paying attention to these people, and we jump off this plank and they go falling down, that's not like they exist anymore. People think it's going to take so much time to change. It's not going to take much time at all. Once we divert our attention into a new way of doing things, the old way is just going to collapse. It's just going to fall out. We're not even going to be like, it's not even there anymore. But as long as they can continue to make us to see the world in a fearful, angry, anxiety-filled way, then we see the world like that. But that's not really the way the world is. But we see the world as we are, not as it is. That's very important. When you start to realize, if I took a symbol right here like the swastika, put it up, most people look at that and say, oh my God, that's a nasty, demonic, evil symbol. As I know a little bit more about the swastika, I know the swastika has been used in Chinese, Native American, Tibetan, all kinds of cultures around the world as a symbol of positivity and good nature and good luck. Well, someone used that symbol recently to make it and make people think that it was something bad. But, so it's not really you seeing it as is, you're seeing it as you are. So you're identifying with all the things that you identify yourself with other people in. So if you identify the world as some evil, demonic, hard knock place, of course, things are going to happen and you're going to see those things, other things like that. Like my version of someone, of a friend of mine, your version of someone else, the same person, completely different. I may see this beautiful, great, loving, caring person. You may see, an a-hole who's pissed you off recently. The difference is what? The difference is what you're seeing. It's not who the person is, it's what you're seeing. You literally change a person's who they are by what you see them to be. So we don't see the world as it is. We don't see things as they are. We see it as we are. And if we can change ourselves and who we are, we'll see the world differently. So the cells in our body react to the negative that we are. So everything that your mind says, your negativity brings down your immune system. So as you think that the world is this negative, angry, terrible place filled with disease and everything else, you're actually sending that message to the 7 trillion cells that make up your body. Each one of them has is basically taking on your philosophy in life. So if you have a philosophy that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for life, war is what we have to do, it's the only way we can achieve peace, well, guess what your cells start to do? Your cells start to have war between them. And then they have a body that's no longer at ease, it's at dis-ease. You have a body that's no longer at ease. So your body is actually warring with itself. That's what disease is. And truly that means there really is no cancer or no AIDS, because once a body has disease, that's it. It's just different degrees of that. Once you become sick, once your body starts out of being in harmony with each other, you start to have a negative influence, and disease starts to run rampant, and that's abnormal cell growth. So this idea of what the world is and the negativity and bringing people down starts at a young age. We all know that we're all induced with tests and stress as children. It's basically our job to go to school. When you go to school and you have to be afraid that my parents got mad at me that I didn't make a good grade on the Great Gatsby test one time, and it floored me. You guys care that I didn't do good on the Great Gatsby book? Have you read the Great Gatsby book? Because I don't think you'd like it either. It wasn't very fun. I didn't enjoy it. But I got in trouble, and I was punished because I didn't make a good grade on a test. There's so many other things that I could be great at. But if I'm not good at the Great Gatsby, then I'm less of a human being than everyone else. And that's kind of the message that I got, And it brought me down. It brought me down to a level like, I'm not good enough. I can't make an A in everything, My parents, are mad at me, because I can't do everything else everybody else can do. Little did I know everybody else was not making the best grades either, but, I'm thinking that I'm supposed to be this great straight A student, and I can't make a good grade on the test because I don't like this book. That's not a great way to learn. Like I told you before, stress, anxiety, and fear turn off the frontal lobes. So if you're completely stressed out and, oh my gosh, I got to make this good grade on the test, and you're drinking Red Bull and taking Adderall to try to stay up to study for some test, you're completely just changing the chemical makeup in your brain and just bringing down your frontal lobes and just completely not even using your brain to the fullest extent that it can be used. So this is not a good way to teach children. And this kid obviously is jumping out the window. You don't want to be a child left behind, do you? Now it sounds good to me. I want to go outside and play. I want to go be a kid. I want to go learn in the way a kid learns. How do kids learn? They ask questions. They're completely open. Ask a child what he believes. Nothing. A child doesn't believe anything. They're open to everything. They want why? Tell me. We have to go back to that thinking. Recently I've often had an awakening and I've been changing, and people say, you changed a lot. Well, I have changed, but really what's happened is I've gone back. I've gone back to the kid that I was before I was told what to do, before I was told who to be, what to dress like, how to act. All of those things made me become the person that I wasn't. It changed me to being something I wasn't at all. But now I'm going back to being that open-minded, beautiful person, loving people, and being happy like a child for no reason. Just to be happy, just to be loving, just to be satisfied with being alive and existing, that the universe chose me to exist, that it wasn't complete until I existed. Those are beautiful things to realize. And so again, our education system, this is a quote by Albert Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a book by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And then this guy over here says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please find the tree. And you got a monkey, bird, an elephant, a penguin, a fish, a seal, and a dog or something. Of course, we're all made to do different things. Look at Tony Hawk's professional skateboarder. Does he need to know The Great Gatsby to be a millionaire? To bring his joy, his bliss to life? No. There's so many things, there's so many opportunities that each of us can do, can learn about, and can bring to the table. That one little thing that we get so worried about and so angry about, that you didn't do good on this one thing, but what about all of the great things I did? We're all so focused on looking at the negative all the time because of our media and culture. That's how we run the world. And it's a beautiful quote by Michael J. Fox. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. Maybe it's time to evolve as human beings and realize that there's a greater way to change the world, and it's a greater way to teach children, and it's to do it through positive reinforcement as a negative. And again, another thing that's going to help us as we activate our pineal gland and see through the veil is religion. And religion is when the core belief of all of the religions that I have read are based on the same teachings. Love everybody. Do unto others as you want them to do to you. Those are the core beliefs of religion. But somewhere along the way, again, someone has took the messenger and held my messenger up over your messenger, but you completely forgot the whole message. The whole message of loving and doing and be like me and love everyone like I have loved you. And then they'll know. You completely forgot that. Because you want to hold up my guy over your guy. Because you're compartmentalized so much that this guy has to be better than this guy over here. Why can't they all be great? Why can't they all help you learn? Why can't each one, being open and reading, help you come to a greater discovery of ourselves and where we all have came from? Because truly, underneath, we are all the same. Black, white, gay, straight, religious, atheist, no matter what. We're all made of the same stuff. We all go back to the same place. So we need to practice tolerance for each other. And we need to realize every person is beautiful. Every person has a right to exist and believe whatever they want to believe. That's fine. And so as we go deeper into the veil, we realize, I don't think, this is a great quote by Chippewa, I don't think the measure of a civilization is how tall its buildings of concrete are, but rather how well its people have learned to relate to their environment and their fellow man. Truly, the Native Americans were more enlightened than we are today. And I would suggest if we took 10 random Americans and 10 random Native Americans before Columbus came, and we asked them if they were happy on a scale from 1 to 10, we have a whole lot more stuff, right? We got cars, airplanes, all this great stuff. But I would just go ahead and put out there that I would think that the Native Americans would be much more happier than the 10 Americans today. I think most people would agree on that. They live with each other, they die with each other, they hunted with each other, they fought with each other. We're all compartmentalized in our own little rooms and our own separateness of, Now we let our grandparents and our fathers and our mothers die in nursing homes because we don't want to take care of them. You know what I mean? Like, that's how compartmentalized we are. And so we have to realize that these people are probably even more enlightened than we are today. So here's another great quote by the Native Americans. Only when the last tree has been cut down, the last fish has been caught, and the last stream poisoned, will we realize we can't eat money. So all this stuff that we're doing to go out and become consumers and to be rich and to have all these things, you can have all the money you want in the world. It's not going to bring you happiness. It's not going to make you a better person. And at the end of the day, you can't eat it. And if there's no trees and no fruit and nothing left, you're going to die. You can have all the money in the world. So I think it's time that we anchor ourselves back into our planet again and realize that we're all connected by this planet and we need to take care of it. And realize, Socrates says, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old but building anew. To come up with new ideas and new ways of teaching, new ways of understanding religion and governments and politics, and realize the old way is not working anymore. And when it's time to build a new one. Not get mad and fight and get angry about the old one, but build a new one. Let's make a new one together that works for everyone. And so people used to believe the world was flat. Not everything that we believe actually is the way we think it is. We look back on people and say, oh my God, I can't believe that people used to believe the world was flat. And people who came out and said the world was not flat, it's round. Church and people killed those people for saying that. What is it today? What's today's flat earth? I'll tell you one, I can't believe that people look back at our time and say, I can't believe they use fossil fuels. I think new energies have already showed that there are clean energies that we already have today that we can use to run our planet that are not going to be as devastating as taking the oil, which is probably the blood of the earth. You know, you can take it for a little while, but the more you take, eventually you're going to kill it. Just like if I took blood from you, eventually if I took enough blood from you, you would die. So people look back at us and say, I can't believe they use fossil fuel. And probably one of the biggest things that I see people in the future looking back and saying on us is, I can't believe that they didn't know that they are one human race. If they didn't know that in diversity was their greatest strength. It's not a weakness to be diverse. It's our greatest strength to be diverse. To have different people over here who understand this better than us, or to have a different culture. That's the greatest part of our world, is that we're all different, yet we're all the same. So, sometimes you have to realize you have to die a little inside in order to be reborn and rise again as a stronger and wiser version of yourself, our society. We have to have those problems, those darkness, but it teaches us things, you know. Your darkness of yourself, things that you go through in life, your suffering, it teaches you lessons. It makes you have a better understanding of who you are and what you don't want in life anymore. And we become better because of that. So if wars were started with secrets and lies, maybe we can start peace with transparency and openness. God, I hope we can. I really hope we can. Here's the truth. Our situation is never permanent. It's what you make it. Life isn't solid. It's fluid. It changes. It changes all the time. It changes from moment to moment now. Everything is happening so fast. Even the internet is a physical rendering of the internet, that all things are connected. Now all people are connected through the internet. Things are changing. Everything that's ever been discovered by the human race is on the internet. You can take a weekend and become an expert on anything. You don't even have to go to school anymore. Knowledge and information is so fast and so fluid. Things are changing at a rapid rate. So it's not like we're stuck. People say we can't do anything. We're stuck in this way of living, of being. No, we're not. Life isn't solid. It changes. We can change all this together if we want to. So this change it's a paradigm shift. We are moving into an epoch of what people term the golden age in the past. So this paradigm shift is changing us to, you know, what was equivalent to the medieval ages or the Renaissance, of an age of consciousness rising collectively together. And if you ever heard of the 100th monkey effect, it's basically on an island, they taught a monkey how to wash a sweet potato. That monkey then in turn taught his family and his siblings and everybody else how to wash sweet potato before they ate it, because it had dirt on it. Well, after about 100 monkeys on this island learned to wash their sweet potato before they ate it, monkeys on neighboring islands started to do the same thing without having been taught by anyone. So we realized that consciousness is something that isn't just induced to us, but it's collectively. It's all around us all the time. Our mind is all around us all the time. It's not just in here. There's also something called the multiples effect, where certain scientists and people all around the world throughout millennia have come up with different technologies, from the steam engine to different things, and all thinking that they had created it themselves. Did not know anything about the other person, but they all came up with it at the same exact time. That's an incredible thing. So that's almost showing us that the earth has a consciousness field out there, that when certain things need to happen and they're ready, people who are better channels than others, and we all know that some people's channels are better than others, some people understand better than others, they get it. And the people who are open mind, open-hearted the most are going to get it first. And then they take that transmission out to the rest of the world. So, the world is awakening, global awakening is happening, and no one can stop it. So with all this seeing through the veil, you realize, okay, this is something that we can all get to, this halo, this electromagnetic field around our brain. So we can open up and we can see what we didn't see before with insight instead of eyesight. We can understand things. We can understand our governments, we can understand politics. But the greatest thing that I have ever, thus far in my awakening, come to know is this part right here. Okay, so we see this electromagnetic field around the head. There's also an electromagnetic field around your body that stems from the heart. The Heart Math Institute has found out that your heart is actually 100 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger magnetically. That means you're literally pulling in people, situations, events based on your electromagnetic, which is magnetism, to you. So you can move anywhere you want to around the world. The same experiences, the same types of people are going to be drawn to you because what's in here. It's 100 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger magnetically. You have an electromagnetic field that is a torus, that is the same as your magnetosphere around the Earth. It's also the same as an apple or an orange when you look into it, when you cut it and you look into it. The universe is generating energy through toroidal fields. We are a toroidal field, and it comes from our heart. So did you know that the heart has a system of neurons that have both short and long-term memory, and the signals sent to the brain can affect our emotional experiences? That's pretty incredible. Even more incredible, did you know that the heart sends more information to the brain than vice versa? Your heart actually thinks. Your heart has its own complex nervous system. It's called the heart-brain. Your heart actually sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And people will say, huh? What are you saying? I'm saying that when you walk up to a person, when you meet someone, and there's some people, obviously more than others, that you just feel that you just know this person, or you get that gut feeling that that's my intuition, or I just feel like that thing, something like that is something that I need to do. It comes from your heart. It doesn't come from your brain, because it knows, and it's sending more information. So people think it's just this organ that pumps out blood throughout. No, it's not. That's one thing that it does, but it's actually thinking. And our hearts in this room right now are actually talking to each other. Whether we're speaking words to each other or not, our hearts are talking to each other. Each one of your hearts is talking to you. I'm talking to your hearts. Literally. Literally. Yeah, our electromagnetic fields are in one with each other. So your heart is actually thinking. And you have a heart-brain connection. So the information that's being sent to the heart and the brain, and vice versa, is actually coherence. As we love and we do and we say the things that we mean and mean the things that we say, we send a coherence to our heart, to our brain. But when you live in frustration, anxiety, stress, this is the kind of frequency that you send to the heart. And a much more intrusive and not as flowing freely pattern. Of course, we know we all want this pattern of easiness and love and beauty. But this is often what we have over here. So, like seeds, we're all like seeds, and we know plants, most seeds don't ever become trees. They don't ever become other plants, right? Most people never become the blossoming that they're supposed to be either. Your heart blossoming and your mind blossoming. Narrow is the gate, and only few find it. Only few people actually access their full potential, but because we're so caught up in our worlds and our lives and what's going on in my life that you don't realize how much potential you really, truly have. So when you see a picture like this, a painting like this is someone who probably knew this coherence. And this is something that I feel on a regular basis. I feel in my heart and my brain are the same thing. What I feel in my heart and what I think are the same thing. And I realize that's my intuition, that's my higher understanding of what's going on with a person or an event, and I'm able to take in more of what this means to me than someone else who's not in coherence and just thinks it's just some kind of random event, or this person did this to me and I can't believe that happened. Well, you drew that to yourself for a reason. You drew that to yourself to realize that that's the kind of person you are, and if you don't let go of it, if you don't stop that, you're going to continue to draw that situation into your life more. So, and I'll probably talk about this for just 1 second. Mary Magdalene has been so, it's so bad, the things that the Catholic Church, I think I said about her, that she was some kind of whore and some kind of, negative thing. But truly, this is a person who saw the master of sin, who had a greater understanding of what was going on, and the feminine, more so than even race, our feminine in our culture has been completely brought down. Even women have, in the most recent right to vote. But the feminine nature of our world has been completely brought down to a level that's just not up to par as far as I'm concerned. But the good thing about that is, the more you pull something down, eventually when you let it go, the faster it's going to come back up. So when we finally realize that the woman is just as important as the man is, we realize that we're all in this together, we're all in this dance together, and the masculine, we all have masculine and feminine parts of ourselves. And I would suggest that the heart is our feminine part of ourselves, and the brain is the masculine part of ourselves. And the true marriage that people were talking about in the past is the marriage of these two parts of ourselves, and that the coherence is the marriage that people are actually trying to complete. That's the true marriage of ourselves, to becoming a whole system. So speaking our truths, how do we turn this heart on? Speaking our truths, love and compassion, telling people things that happen to you that you know are true. Stories that I've told today about, experiences that I had. That's speaking from my heart. That's speaking my truth. I can't tell you what someone else believes or what's in some book, but I can tell you what happened to me, and I can tell you that I've had experiences in my life where I sat in a room and I had an overwhelming feeling of unconditional love come up through my entire body, where all the goosebumps on my body, and I cried uncontrollably, and I felt like I was one, and I was every place at every moment, and I realized that I was truly loved. My whole life I had suffered. I didn't realize that I was this incredible, beautiful being. I thought I was some dude from Athens, Georgia, that didn't really matter, or and all this other stuff, and I was trying to find happiness through some girlfriend or some job or money, and I got to a point where I had a beautiful girlfriend, a nice car, and nice clothes, and I was like not happy still. I was in my room just kind of like, what's the deal? What's going on? I'm not happy. Little did I know, someone was listening. I think that's kind of how you have to get. You have to be serious with yourself. You have to realize, that you are important, that you do matter, and that's experience that I share, and I think that those kind of things literally help turn our heart fields on. Living compassion, loving one another. Those are the things that really too, when you turn on that field, and you have this beautiful magnetosphere around you. Our Earth's magnetosphere is down. You hear that, right? And the solar flares are getting to us. That's because 7 billion people on the planet are affecting it because of their negativity and their fear and their anxiety. You're actually bringing the field down. And as you do that individually in ourselves, we bring our own field down. So as we love, and we have this beautiful electromagnetic field of loving energy all around us, which is light, we keep that negative energy from getting to us. You keep this field beautiful, strong. It don't matter what you say over there, because I'm good in here. I can say whatever you want to. I know I'm love. I know I'm beautiful. I know that you can do whatever you want over here. My world is beautiful in here. You can't knock me off my happiness. And so this is something that we feel with each other, like I said before. When you meet certain people, you just know that some people have a good heart. You just know it. And that's because your heart is sending that message to your brain. Even animals know it. Good heart, clear vibration. This makes them feel safe being close to that human. You talk about even Daniel and the lion's den. You know, the lions didn't eat them, and then you see pictures of Buddha and other people throughout history, you know, sitting there with these carnivores that they shouldn't be sitting there with or hanging out with, because they know. Animals know. They feel it. They see it. They understand it. You know, better than we do in most ways. You know, everybody knows that a dog is the most unconditional loving thing on the planet. Not everybody would have so many dogs as pets, but all animals feel this feel. And what's the one thing they say about bears or something like that when you see a bear? Don't run away and don't be afraid. Stand your ground, stand and go away. Well, that's because when you're afraid and you run away, you didn't realize you're food. Same thing with you get in the ocean. Don't be afraid of sharks. Be that loving light, because if the light surrounds you, no darkness can get in. That's darkness as a shark attack. That's darkness as something bad happening to you. You can keep that away from you if you want to. And so John Lennon said, it matters not who you love, where you love, why you love, when you love, or how you love. It only matters that you love. That's probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. And so the more we are motivated by love, the more fearless and more free our actions become. The more free we become because we're motivated by love instead of fear. So contrary to what you have been told, you are not just this physical, material being. You are much more than that. You are a multi-dimensional. You are actually not just a spiritual being having a physical experience. I mean, you're not a physical being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a physical one. Rumi said, I am not this hair, I am not this skin, I am the soul that lives within. You are the soul inside. This body will die and go back to the earth. Your light inside you is real, and the experiences and the love that you feel in your heart is the thing that you take with you, nothing else. So, blessed is he that is poor in spirit, because you realize that spirit is something you can take in you. Light is something that you can inhabit and you can be. You can be love, you can be kindness, you can be compassion, and it actually changes your makeup of who you are. So you are infinite consciousness having a human experience. You're infinite. Your energy is infinite. Every day you wake up and you breathe and your heart beats and your blood pumps. And you don't have to think about it. It just happens. So never underestimate the potential you have to change the entire universe by being uniquely you and sharing your positivity, your positive energy with others. And just, people say, how can I change the world? You are the world. You are the universe. When you see somebody walking down the street and someone that you might judge because they're overweight, and you say, not today, I'm not going to do that today, and you send them a happy smile or a hug or a high five, anything like that. That one little act might even keep somebody from going home and killing themselves. That person might be having just a horrible day. Everybody else has called me fat. Everybody else has called me ugly. And I'm about to go end my life at all, and they're going that way, and you're the person that walks by them and says, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Nice to meet you. High five. You might have changed that person's whole entire meaning of life, and then they didn't go do that. You are the universe. You're not separate from it. We are part of it, and our lives and our situations and events that happen to us are all part of the universe. It's not randomly just blowing up and assessing planets and people and situations. No, it's all being created, and we're co-creators in it. So never underestimate the power that you have to share their positive energy with others. And so life will give us whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of our consciousness. Whatever we need, whatever our higher self needs to happen. So better, hot, or cold. So even the people who are having the hardest time, the people that you see, oh man, that guy's never going to wake up. That person's never going to get it. That's probably the person who's going to wake up first. I promise you, because I was that. I was the bartender. I was the guy drinking and partying and doing all the things that I thought were cool and fun. But I realized that it wasn't good. It wasn't happiness. I was the funnest guy in the party, but it didn't matter. I wasn't happy. I was truly miserable. But I was great at hiding it. I was great at hiding it, and I was great at not letting people see who I really was. And I had all these walls up. No one really knew who the real. I just gave them a fraction. Every person you meet small, what they look like, where they're from, a small percentage of who they really are. Most people you can know for years and not know who they really are here because they got these huge walls up. So if your path is more difficult, it's because of your higher calling. Your higher self is constantly saying, if you're having a hard time with relationships or girlfriends or careers or certain parts or aspects of your life, it's because they want you to wake up. higher self is constantly building, and you're constantly attracting these things to realize, I realized the girls that I were dating were because of what they looked like, and they would say the same things to me. I was like, I get it. You're trying to tell me that I'm bringing this to myself, and it was a huge epiphany, a revelation, an aha moment, a eureka that said, this is something that I'm not getting. And I finally got the message, and I learned the hard way, but I don't have to deal with it anymore. So we are all multidimensional beings. The energy on the planet is calling for us all to raise our vibrations. It's time to step up to the next level of spiritual evolution and awaken to our mission. What's our mission? That we're all here to awaken from the illusion of separateness, that we're all not separate from each other, that we're all part of the human race, like I said before, that we're all one on this planet together, and that we are not at the top of this pyramid above all things. We're over here on the right. We're connected to all things. If the trees die, we die. If the animals die, we die. We need each other. And we can't continue to let things happen, business as usual happen, and let things die off the planet like it's just some unfortunate thing. But we'll still be here. No, we all need each other together. And we're all part of it. You look at out in our solar system, everything is a circle. You don't see squares and pyramids. It's to show us oneness, that there is no end. And so Chief Seattle said, all things are connected like the blood, which unites us all. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. And what you do to others is what you do. When you manipulate others, you're just manipulating yourself to get what you want. So we all think Earth is this, compartmentalized corporations and stations and states and nations. But really, there are no borders. It's all one. And it's an imaginary line to think that we need to control borders. All of us are not native to this land, and we look back. We killed the natives of this land and, to be here ourselves. So we're all from somewhere, but we're all from the planet together. There are no borders. We're all one. We all share this planet, and when we bomb some other planet or some other country, we're doing that to the whole Earth. We're doing that to our own people because we're all part of the human race. So when you look into someone else's eyes and all you see is yourself, then you're experiencing oneness. When you realize that that person's like me, they come here to learn ideas, they come here to grow and to evolve, and that person's just like me. They're no different. They have kids, they have feelings, everybody wants to be loved. Those are all the things that we all share together. So we are literally one planet, one humanity, and it's one love. It's not this kind of love over this kind of love, or just Jesus over Buddha or Krishna. It's just to love. That's what matters. To truly love each other and to truly care about each other. And thank you guys for paying attention. Thank you guys out there for watching. I appreciate it. The light inside of me honors and recognizes the light in all of you. Namaste. Thank you.